Welcome to the lecture from our Module 2, Models and the Circular Flow. So we're focusing on this essential question, how are models, I wrote the wrong word. It says how are modules, but it's supposed to be how are models used to show economic concepts. So a model is a simplified way of showing something about the world. Now we are used to hearing the word model as in like fashion model. Well, a fashion model shows off clothes and like in these economics models, they show off and describe these concepts, these ideas. And why do we use these models? Well, we use them to understand how things are. When we put these things into these models, or you might call them a graph, right, or a chart, then it helps us to just kind of understand how things work, what would happen if, like if the government does this, what will happen to the economy? If this happens, then what could happen? And it allows us to focus on one variable or change at a time. Because in the real world, we all know that tons of things are changing at the same time all the time. And people will have a lot of different arguments and discussions about, like, what caused that, right? Like, why did that happen? Was it this, or was it that, or that, or that, or that? And so if we use a model, then we can just focus on one thing at a time and then make this economics assumption that we call ceteris paribus, or all other things are equal or constant or unchanging. Equal means unchanging, constant means unchanging. So the idea of, if the government just does this one thing in the economy, then what will the impact be? Or if businesses start to expand their businesses, what will the impact on the whole economy be? If people stop buying houses, what will the impact be? If people stop going on vacations, what will the impact be? These are the kinds of things that economists like to think about and study so that they can better understand the economy and better figure out how, when the economy goes bad, what can be done to fix it. All right, so page 2 is what's called our circular flow diagram. This is the first model that we go over in economics. Notice it just kind of looks like a nice little picture, right? And so these models are just different graphs and charts and things that we can use to show us, these concepts. Now, this graph is not going to teach you anything that you don't already know. It's just going to take the things that you know and put them into economic concepts and give you some more economic vocabulary for how to describe these things. So it says it's a model of how money, goods, services, and factors of production flow and move throughout our economy. Remember those factors of production? Those were the land, labor, human capital, and physical capital. Land meaning natural resources, labor meaning people who work, physical capital meaning things that businesses use to get their stuff done, like their machinery, their equipment, their buildings, their computers, and human capital meaning the people's skills and training that they have to do their job. All right, so let's go over our model here. So we have to fill in a few things on here. We see that up here we've got households. In econ, we use the term households. It really just means people. And then firms, which means businesses. Now, notice the government is not a part of this very, very simple model. We will be getting into a model later. It might be next unit, where they do add in the government, and then it gets a lot more complicated. But we use this simple model to just describe to us what happens in the product market over here and what happens in the factor market over here. Now, a market is a place where things are bought and sold. So a product is a thing, right? You can sell a thing. The marker I'm holding is a product. It was produced and it was sold to me. All right, so product market is a place where stuff is bought and sold. Sorry about my bad handwriting. I'll try to calm it down. So it is a place where stuff is bought and sold. Now, sometimes that's a physical building, like you go to the store. And sometimes it's in the cloud, it's, online, right? So place where stuff is bought and sold. The factor market, well, they're using the term factor because it's from factors of production. So it is, I'm going to put place in quotes, place where factors of production are bought and sold. And we just discussed that there are those 4 factors of production, but in this model, we're going to just focus on one of the factors of production, and that is labor. Now remember, labor is work, right? People who work. So wait a minute. Am I trying to tell you guys that people's work gets bought and sold? Yes, I am. It sure does. You know what they call that? A job, right? So in the factor market, in our diagram here, firms or businesses send something to people or households, and in return, the households send something back to the firms. Well, the people give the businesses or firms their labor. They work for them. And in return, what do we get back? Of course, we get back money, and we can call that money our paycheck. And so that makes sense, right? I told you I wasn't going to tell you anything you didn't already know, right? You guys all started watching this video today knowing full well that people provide labor or work for businesses, and in return they pay us. We know that. All right, product market, place where stuff is bought and sold. So the businesses send something to the people, and in return, the people send something back to the businesses. When we're buying and selling stuff, the firms send to the businesses the products, or what I like to call the stuff, and the businesses, they give us that stuff, but in return, of course, we have to pay for it, right? So we send them money. So this arrow going back to the firms is money. Right? This is super simple, right? You guys already knew that businesses sell people stuff for money. Well, down here, how does your book say it? Sorry, guys. One person's spending is another person's income. That means all people and businesses are connected. So when I go to Target and I buy things, that's money for Target, right? So that's their income. A good example is if I were to go out to a restaurant, which I haven't done in a while, but if I were to, right, I would be paying for the meal and I would be giving the server a tip. And so me spending that money is their income, right? So me buying a restaurant meal turns into somebody else's paycheck. Notice this is circular, right? The money goes from the households to the businesses and back again to the households in the form of paychecks. And then products are given and labor is given. It is a lot more complicated than that, but that's the really basic, most simple idea of how an economy works. All right, so why are all people and businesses connected? Like why? How does that make sense? How can we put that? That's kind of thing like we get it, we know it. How can we put it into words? You could write something like this. When I spend money at a store, it becomes someone's paycheck. That's not the only way to describe that. That's just the way I'm describing it. When I spend money at a store, it becomes someone's paycheck. Kind of that why of how everything is connected. All right, that is Module 2. Don't forget to write your summary down here, and thank you.